getting beat on. I realized I don't think I have it anymore because I got the ability to stay in shape, but I don't got the fighting guts, I don't think.
Mike Tyson's legendary boxing career, marked by decades of dominance and the custom-fit crown, ended not with a triumphant victory, but a stunning humiliation, closing a chapter of unmatched power and controversy.
Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight.
Interesting.
Script.
How so? What do you mean by
It's just
script?
weird. It just
Like scripted in what way?
no, I don't know. I actually really like Jake Paul. It just seems so. It's awesome.
What brought down the baddest man on the planet? Was it age, injuries, or wear and tear? Nope, it was money. A massive payday lured Mike Tyson into a scripted fight against a YouTuber half his age. Tyson's iconic career didn't just end. It crashed spectacularly, complete with a lawsuit on the way out. The legendary fighter who once sent heavyweights flying with punches powerful enough to break walls was reduced to struggling against Jake Paul. Yes, Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer. Millions watched as Tyson's legacy unraveled in real time, a heartbreaking sight for fans of the man who once embodied raw, unstoppable power.
This fall, he is back in the ring at age 58 to pummel a kid from YouTube. Watch Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson live November 15th on Netflix.
The fight on November 15, 2024, wasn't just a loss. It was a spectacle that left even Mike Tyson's most loyal fans cringing. Once a walking knockout machine, a boxing god, Tyson managed to land only 18 punches across 8 rounds. In his prime, he threw 40 to 50 punches per round like it was second nature. Watching him reduced to slow-motion action felt like watching an old action movie with the fight scenes stuck on pause. Jake Paul, 31 years younger and still a relative newcomer to boxing, essentially played babysitter in the ring. It was painfully obvious he was holding back, knowing a knockout would be bad PR. The bout felt less like a fight and more like a strange celebrity charity event, except the only thing they were raising was public embarrassment. And then, there's the reason Tyson and Paul stepped into the ring in the first place: money. Cold, hard cash. Tyson pocketed $20 million for this circus, and honestly, who could blame him? At that price, most people would do it, even if it meant becoming a meme for eternity. But was it worth it? Tyson's once unshakable legacy, the thing that made him a living legend, is now tarnished by a loss to a YouTuber. Yes, a asterisk YouTuber asterisk. It's like seeing an iconic rock band from the 80s playing at a local pizza joint for tips. It just feels wrong. Fans were furious. Some called it elderly abuse. Others dubbed it a scripted circus, especially after Elite Fight Prediction matched the night's events almost perfectly. Tyson's career didn't just end that night, it became a spectacle, leaving millions questioning how it all came to this.
Hand down when it was clear as day that Jake's face was wide open to receive it. Bro, this is disappointing.
The internet erupted with conspiracy theories faster than you could say rigged. People bet real money on the fight, expecting Tyson to at least throw a few power punches. Instead, they got slow jabs, awkward footwork, and a performance that had fans knocking down Tyson's legacy faster than any punch could. But this wasn't just about the fight, it went deeper. Tyson's life outside the ring got just as chaotic. His wife, Leia Kiki Spicer, reportedly called it quits on his career, prioritizing his health and what remained of his legacy. Meanwhile, Tyson seemed torn about retirement. One day, he hinted at a possible comeback, even playfully calling out Jake Paul's brother, Logan. The next day, he sounded unsure, saying, "I don't know if I'll fight again. It depends on the situation." But what situation, Mike? It's hard to watch a legend drift into uncertainty.
I'm just fighting to take care of my bills, basically. I don't have the stomach for this kind of no more. I'm more conscious of my children and those guys looking at my appearance. I don't have that ferocity. I'm not an animal anymore.
The saddest part is that this isn't how we were meant to remember Mike Tyson. He was supposed to be the unstoppable force, a legend who crushed other legends, not a former champ chasing one last payday against internet stars. Tyson's final fight wasn't just a loss. It was a public humiliation wrapped in an official-looking scorecard. The numbers said it all: 80-72, 79-73, 79-73. A unanimous decision so one-sided, it felt like the judges were penning Tyson's boxing obituary in real time. These weren't close rounds. Jake Paul, 31 years younger and far less experienced, dominated from the opening bell to the final minute. Watching Tyson, the man who once sent opponents to another dimension in seconds, get outclassed like this was nothing short of heartbreaking. It wasn't just the end of a fight, it was the unraveling of a legacy in front of millions.
I seen him a little bit tired. I didn't want to put too much hurt on him, but I wanted the fans to get a good experience. But there was a point where all of my aggression and like super violence and like I'm gonna knock this guy out and show him, it went away when I wasn't getting.
What made it worse was that Jake Paul didn't even go full throttle. You could see him easing up during the fight, almost as if he was sparing Tyson from an even worse fate. This wasn't about respect, it was about PR management. Knocking out a 58-year-old boxing legend would have turned the internet against Paul faster than you can say cancel culture. By carrying Tyson through 8 rounds, he kept the show going without making things too awkward. Though, let's be honest, the whole fight was one long, awkward moment. Fans weren't just disappointed, they were heartbroken. This wasn't how Tyson was supposed to go out. Watching him struggle to land punches and take jabs from a YouTuber felt surreal, like seeing your childhood hero trip over his shoelaces on live TV. The once indestructible baddest man on the planet looked like a shadow of himself, moving slower than Wi-Fi on a bad day. It was a harsh reality check, especially for those who still believed Tyson had one last thunderous punch left in him. Spoiler alert, he didn't. But if you thought Tyson's post-fight struggles ended with that defeat, think again. His toughest rounds came outside the ring, in courtrooms filled with lawsuits. Just weeks after the fight, he was hit with a $1.6 million lawsuit from Media, a Cyprus-based company promoting Rabona Sportsbook and an online casino. They claimed Tyson breached a promotional contract tied to the fight, as Netflix sponsored the event instead. But it gets worse. While Tyson dealt with that mess, Netflix found itself facing a colossal $50 million class action lawsuit. Their live stream of the fight was as unreliable as Tyson's jab that night. Over 990,000 viewers experienced glitches, blackouts, and buffering so bad they probably thought the fight was being streamed from a dial-up modem. Fans who paid top dollar for the pay-per-view felt cheated and demanded compensation. It was a disaster all around.
And one reason only, and that is the money. He's getting paid so much money to do this, so that tells me he's getting bought.
So there you have it. Tyson's career didn't end with a knockout punch or a standing ovation. It ended in a courtroom, buried under legal complaints, breach of contract allegations, and class action lawsuits. A legendary boxing career that should have been celebrated was instead tangled in disputes over broken deals and angry fans demanding refunds. Tyson's final opponent wasn't Jake Paul. It was a brutal mix of bad decisions, lawsuits, and shattered reputations. This time, there was no bell to save him. After watching her husband struggle through 8 painful rounds, Spicer reportedly drew the line, ending his boxing journey for good.
I don't understand what a champ he was. Like he wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world. He was an executioner.
Truly.
Every fight was just a matter of how long was it going to last.
Tyson's legacy now hangs by a thread, thinner than Jake Paul's credibility as a real boxer. Legends like Evander Holyfield and Buster Douglas didn't hold back in condemning the Tyson versus Paul fight, calling it a disgrace to the sport. These men fought Tyson in his prime, when he was a human wrecking ball. To seek and reduce to a stumbling version of himself hit harder than any punch Tyson ever threw. Fans who grew up idolizing him were left wondering, is this really how we're supposed to remember the most feared boxer of all time? It's a painful question.
Out afterwards. He was the first one, obviously. And Mike came out afterwards, and I watched his face. I didn't watch Mike. You would normally watch Mike because he's so charismatic and he's coming. You want to see what he's going to do. And I watched the guy's face, and I watched that confidence bleed from his face instantaneously.
Tyson's reign of terror in the 80s and 90s, when he knocked out opponents in seconds, now seems overshadowed by a misguided comeback that felt more like a reality TV stunt than a real fight. Even critics labeled the event as elderly abuse rather than a boxing match, a low blow Tyson couldn't dodge. Let's not sugarcoat it. The fight wasn't about reclaiming boxing glory, it was about cash. Everyone saw it, everyone knew it. The only thing more obvious than Tyson's exhaustion was the money changing hands behind the scenes. Fans left the fight feeling like they'd paid for a nostalgia trip, but ended up stuck on a broken-down roller coaster instead.
Mike Tyson tweeted that he almost died over the summer. He said, he had a bunch of blood transfusions, just had to fight to get healthy, and then his performance yesterday against Jake Paul. Just your thoughts on what we saw.
Mike Tyson was right, and I was wrong.
With Spicer's no-nonsense intervention, Tyson's deteriorating health, and enough legal and drug drama to fill an entire season of * law and order *, the writing is officially on the wall. Mike Tyson's boxing career is done. Finished, game over. Boxing analysts, who were skeptical from the start, now agree Tyson should have hung up his gloves long before Jake Paul ever entered the scene. Sure, Tyson's legacy will always include his terrifying knockout power and his reign as the baddest man on the planet. But let's be real. This awkward, lawsuit-filled finale, capped off by losing to Jake Paul, will forever be a part of his story, whether we like it or not. He'll be remembered as both the heavyweight destroyer and the aging fighter who stuck around just a bit too long. And just like that, the final bell has rung on Tyson's legendary boxing career. Not with a knockout, but with a bittersweet mix of love, lawsuits, and life catching up in the ring. In this reality check showdown, love him or hate him, Tyson's legacy will forever punch its way through boxing history. Raw, messy, and absolutely iconic.